Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I can't believe that April is almost over, but it's time to set up for my May bullet journal. If you haven't already, don't forget to go down and hit that subscribe button so you can join the fam, and also comment below I subscribed if you haven't already. So these are the 4 colors that I'm going to be using for this month's setup. I thought I'd show you because it's a big deal for me to use 4 colors at once. If you guys have seen any of my old plan with me's, which I will link in the description box and in the card up above, then you would know I'm a pretty one color, one neutral kind of gal when it comes to setting up my bullet journal themes. However, recently I've been really uninspired by my bullet journal, and especially for April with the dull colors and the really tedious setup, I knew that I had to try something very exciting for May to get me back in the spirit of journaling again. So bright colors it is. I've actually had this idea for a while to do a neon and black color scheme because I wanted to do something with neon lights for Star Wars for May. You know, may the 4th be with you. Y'all get what I mean. But I ended up completely changing my plan, and although I stick to the color scheme, I finally decided on a graffiti neon painters theme? ? It's kind of a random theme because at first I wanted to do graffiti on bricks, but then I decided that graffiti was really hard to draw, so I ended up just adding some spray paint in there. I'll pop here on the screen the reference picture that I used for inspiration for most of my spreads, but overall I'm still happy with how this theme came out, even if it isn't exactly spray painted. So what exactly am I doing? Basically, I used my neon colors first and outlined all the color that's going to be on the spread. Although a little hard and the pencil couldn't be erased completely, I did the color first to make sure that I wouldn't be drawing color on top of black and make that smear. You know how in kindergarten when they're always like, do the yellow before the black and not the other way around, because if you do the yellow after the black, then it would smear the black? Yeah, well, that's my headspace in here, thinking that it was a smart idea. And although the pencil kind of showed through a little bit, I didn't really mind, and I still preferred this over some smearing. I'm actually super happy with this lettering of May. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of brush lettering and calligraphy, and so doing something like this block graffiti lettering was really new for me. If you guys go all the way back to the beginning of my channel, when I did my July 2020 setup, I did some similar lettering to this because it was a 70s font. Other than that, and possibly March a couple months ago, usually lettering is just my way to go, and so I definitely had to sketch out the title of all these spreads before I went into them, because I wanted to make sure I got all the lines right since I'm not used to this font. Another thing I did to add to the painter's effect was to add little drips of color coming off the top of the lettering. As you'll see when I finish this spread of my original idea, I had a lot of different options that I was deciding with how I wanted to go through with this page, and I even debated doing black bricks for a while, but I figured it was way too dark, so I wanted to add a lot of white space and keep the colors pretty separated. Anyway, after all the doodles in the middle, you can see me outlining some blue spray paint around this weird blocky shape, and then I'm going to be outlining it with the skinny tip of my black Tombow dual brush pen. Usually I use a thinner pen like a mild liner or the Tombow Fudenosuke pen, which has a thinner nib, but in this setup I want everything to be big and chunky, in case you can't tell, and so I decided to use this pen instead because even the thin nib is a lot larger than a micron. So what you see me deciphering here is basically a brick background. I did the blue around first because, like I said, do the color then the black, and then I came on the inside and outlined each of these bricks, which are 2x4 dots tall if you're using the same A5 bullet journal that I am. Then I decided that the little doodles weren't popping out enough, so I added another drop shadow around all of them, making a very thick black line to make it stand out. The last step of this page is going to be to making the bricks look more brick-like, which makes no sense when I say it that way, but basically all the bricks just kind of look like squares, and I really wanted them to pop out onto the page. And so what I'm going to be doing is adding little curvy lines around each of the individual bricks to make them more of a rounded shape, and also make the lines in between the bricks, which is essentially the cement if it was a real wall, thicker. Here you can see me doing this process, and let me tell you, it was very tedious and time consuming, but I think it made the spread pop out a little more, make it a little darker, a little more realistic, and I think it was worth the time that it took to make. In total, this cover page alone took me almost 2 hours, so don't worry if you can't finish a spread like this in 30 minutes, because I can't either. Here is the original spread that I did as just a scratchy little messy thumbnail because I wanted to see how the colors were going to work. As you can see, I tried different brick styles with highlights and also different lettering styles, but I felt like everything was too dark and saturated, and so opening up the spaces in this spread and allowing more white to show through made it still very cartoony and graffiti-like, but also gave it a little more space. Moving on to the calendar page, I'm basically going to be doing the same style of lettering and decorations for every single spread in this setup, so if you get tired of it, don't worry, I was too. Like I kind of said a second ago, I really wanted this theme to feel very cartoonish. I've been getting into art recently, and I've been trying to elaborate on my drawing style, and by doing that, I've been adding some characterization to my art. I'm going to make a video about this soon, talking about my art journey and process, etc. But basically, I wanted the doodles to be a lot more cartoony and exaggerated with their shapes instead of realistic. Practicing in my bullet journal will just give me more incentive to practice in my sketchbook, and hopefully I can develop my art style. But anyway, back to the journal. I tell you this because all the doodles are kind of exaggerated. The cracks and sizing of the radio and the spray paint bottles are a little fatter than they are taller. The lettering is a little chaotic, coming in different directions, and everything is just a little more chunky than it usually would be. I feel like this effect makes it look a lot more like a cartoon show for little kids than just an actual wall, and makes me very happy to put in my bullet journal. Again, on this spread, I'm outlining all the little bricks, and I'm actually really happy that I chose this particular background instead of just random spray paint, because it was really easy to draw these bricks around the calendar. May is one of those annoying months where there's 6 weeks instead of 5, and especially since I like to start my calendars on a Monday, which all you Sunday people, don't kill me, okay, it makes sense in my brain, but especially because of that, there was just that one lonely 31 down there, and it would be hard to fill the space if I didn't have some kind of horizontal decoration like I do here with the bricks. Also didn't mention this on my cover page, but what I'm doing with all the color doodles like the radio and the spray paint is going over with an extra layer of the same color to add a little shadows and again make it very cartoony but still obvious that each object is 3D. Adding the drop shadows behind each of the doodles and the May title also makes it stand out from the background, since that's also white and black, and without the drop shadow it may blend in a little too much. Next it was time to do the calendar, and I have seen this style of drawing each circle in a different color before, and I've always wanted to try it, but again, my themes have always been pretty monochrome or only use 1 or 2 colors, so it never actually happened. However, I wanted to take my chances this month and just go for it, and so at each individual box has a different color that matches the theme. To be honest, looking at this spread makes me so happy because all the color is really rejuvenating. I used to think I was a more muted colors person, but now that I'm seeing spreads like this, I'm thinking that saturation is great when you're putting it in your journal. I also felt like the boxes were a little minimal, and so I added a black drop shadow with the thicker end of the Tombow dual brush pen behind each of the boxes. I also used some of my classic hand lettering to write goals and next month on the left side of the page, and with that, this spread is pretty much finished. Moving on to the last spread in this setup, I realized that I missed some footage and lost some when I was filming, so sorry you guys couldn't see me outline the headers, but considering I did the exact same thing on the first 2 pages, I'm sure y'all won't mind. This spread is kind of a humble jumble mess, honestly, because I'm adding 3 different spreads into 2. Last month, I told you guys in my April Plan With Me how trackers have been an interesting situation for me. And to be honest, I really enjoyed the sleep tracker that I decided with last month, but I did not feel like writing these headers a 4th time, so I just ended up scratching the sleep tracker for May and only keeping the habit tracker. However, I did want to have a special place for content planning for my YouTube and Etsy shop, and also space in there for a master to-do list. By the way, if you guys are looking for a May kit, which will be coming out on May 1st, the day after this video is released actually, check out my Etsy shop linked below. I have all of my products, including a lot of new sticker sheets and sticker sets that I'll have pictures for here on the screen so you guys can see them. So yeah, if you want to find a different way to support me on a different platform and get some cute little stickers, check out my Etsy shop. Anyway, self-promo over. The last thing I added on this spread was a little highlight section. I've been feeling kind of bad that I haven't been putting highlight sections in my journal recently. The last time I did a gratitude log, I think was February. Correct me that in the comments if I'm wrong, but I have felt like I've been slacking a little bit in recording my life, and so I figured that since my bullet journal is essentially a time capsule where I can look back and see what I was doing, I might as well add another highlight section where I can spend a little second each day writing down something I'm grateful for, and also have a little record of what I was doing that day so I can come back and look at my journal and remember what I was up to in March of 2021. I'm outlining each of these habit tracker boxes in the same style that I did the boxes on the calendar page, with a thin mound liner and then going in with a black drop shadow. I also felt like I didn't know how to outline these boxes because on the original page I definitely wanted to outline it in black, but on this page I felt like I wanted to outline it in color. So the compromise that I made with myself was to outline it in black still, but then when I go and fill in all the trackers, I'll color them in the fancy colors. So right now the spread might look a little boring, but at the end of the month when it's all filled in, it'll be a little more colorful and very productive. Comment down below what habits you like to put in your journal every month if you do use a habit tracker. Personally, I always want space to track my water intake, working out, face care, that sort of thing. But if you like to do something different, just drop it down below. The last step in this spread was to do the tedious drop shadow that took a very long time and some intense concentration, and after filming for 5 hours, this was kind of hard and a slow process for me, but I got through it, and to be honest, it looks so much better with the drop shadow, so I'm really happy that I finished. Anyways, that's going to be it for this May setup. Thank you so much for watching. As I do a quick flip through, I'd like to encourage you to go down and hit that like button if you did enjoy the video, and also subscribe if you haven't already. I post a video almost every week, and I don't want you to miss any of them. Comment down below a paint emoji or a rock and roll emoji, I don't know. Comment down below any emoji you want if you got to this point in the video, and I will see you in my next one. Toodles!